Hello, everybody. This is Todd with Duct Tape Hanger. Um, Making some progress on the Byron Christen Eagle here. Working on putting the fuel tank in. Going to put the motor back on, and maybe we can get her fired back up today. We'll see what happens. I did a little work already and didn't videotape it. I made the tank. Got a 24-ounce tank there. I don't have it strapped in yet. And I've just run the lines out the front so far. My fill and my vent, or my carb and my vent line. Really haven't done a lot with it so far. But we're making progress. Everything's about progress at this point. This time of year, I just want to get her pretty much ready and see what happens. I'd like to get it done this weekend. This is Friday. I think it's the 17th, October 17th, 16th, somewhere in there. I'm not sure which day it is. They all kind of run together after a while. Looks like it's the 17th. So, if I can get this done this weekend, it's supposed to be a real crappy weather here in northern Indiana this weekend. Maybe next week, if it's not terrible, I can get her out and test fly her. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the process so far. I'm going to use zip ties, hold that tank in, and get her ready to maybe fire up. So, all right, there's part of the process. We'll come back when we're ready to do some more work. All right, we got the tank zip tied in. So now we're going to go ahead and bolt the motor on. I'm going to use some blue thread locker on the bolts. They're just going into blind nuts here on the firewall. I don't think there was any on it originally, but we'll go ahead and put them on there and get that threaded in. Really don't need to watch me bolt an engine on. You've seen that before in the past. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. All right, we got her bolted back on. The old Quadra with the old original Byron mount. This is a different muffler than what he had on it. He had a wraparound pits. So we're going to have to work on the cowl to get that on there. To get it out, I'll have to do some grinding and cutting. All the blind nuts are in, got her all in. Next, I guess we'll hook up throttle line here, and we'll work on that. And it's just a ball link on this one. Same thing that was on here before. So obviously it worked. Very little throw in it. All right, hook that up to the servo. In here. And we're going to have to set some, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to plug this in and see what we got so I don't bind something up and tear it up here. So I'm actually going to turn the airplane around, and that'll make it a lot easier. So we're going to be down here on this end now. All right, we want to be able to see into the barrel of the carb. And let me get my little flashlight going here. Okay, we're at idle right there. So back is idle, and that's wide open. You can kind of see it. So back is idle. So now I can set my servo to where the horn matches it. And I'll drop my flashlight like I drop everything. Okay, so I'm going to plug in the throttle servo here into my receiver, my test receiver here. And this way, I can see which way the servo is going and see what kind of throw I have, because I don't want to bind anything up. Throttle, that's down there on the bottom on Spectrum. Okay. Got this here. And there. Okay. So, hey, looks like my horn is working the right direction, but I'm going to have way too much throw. I can tell you that now. get this horn on here. All right, we are going to get this light in here so I can see. All right, I'll bring the horn up. Oh yeah, I'm at not even half throttle and I'm getting full. So okay, I'm going to have to do some work on that. And actually what I'm going to do is get this set up for the receiver I want in it and the program, so I can start programming everything in, because this was just my test my test receiver. So I don't want to use that in there. So we're going to switch this out and get an actual channel on the radio. Then I can start actually programming some stuff. So hold on again. Okay guys, I had to work on my settings on my radio to get that completely linear. You can see inside the barrel there. Get the light directly in there. You can see it's nice and linear to full throttle, back to idle, to full throttle. Got her nice and linear on the stick movement. I didn't show that process on here because obviously my radio is going to be way different than yours. Good grammar there. So that's what I have there on that. So now we're going to set up the throttle line, which we're going to plug right in here. So we're going to cut this right here. And we're going to be putting a T in here. Oh, it's going on tight. There we go. This is going to be our vent. Looks like I can possibly go right through there. Yep, right where they had it before. Right like that. We can run that right out the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not. So we'll turn this a little bit. But we're going to be putting a T in here and out to a fuel dot that's going to run into the cowl. So I want to put a nice metal T in there. So we're going to cut her here in the center and put that T in. Putting that right in here. Oh, you know what I forgot? Ooh, knock that thing off of there. I got my little spring clips that we will be putting on there to help keep that tight. I got a couple of these. Okay, this old line, I got to take them off this old line here. There's one. We're going to put on there. And one's going to go here. It helps hold that T on there. I am going to see how that's got a little bit of an angle to it. I am going to square that up a little bit so that'll square up nicer on the on here. I was going to run a 3-line tank, and I ordered one, and it's going to take a while to get here, and I have tanks around, so it's like I might as well just use what I got. We're going to put that right on there like that. With this airplane being foam, the last thing you want is any kind of fuel leak. So definitely not something you want to play with there. It won't last long. So this plane's been around a long time. I don't want to lose it to something stupid like that. Come on now. Let's see here. All right, I might need to get the camera out of the way so I can do that. We'll set this over here. So you can still get a look at what I'm doing, or attempting to do. A little spring wire there. It's tight. There she goes. Get her right up there in that groove. Looks like that one needs to go on a little more too. That might have went too far. No, that looks pretty good. Okay. Get those turned out of the way. Like that. I'm going to leave this really long on here for now. And we'll cut it once we get the cowl on and get it situated. Oh no, I can put my other spring on there. Sometimes I'll just use zip ties too if I don't have these little springs, but I had these left over from another tank that I had at one time. So I figured I might as well use them. Why not? I can throw that old line away. Stuff's so stiff it looks like it took Viagra. Little fuel tubing. And get this put on here. Man, there's been a lot of good YouTube videos on Fredericksburg. Just had their Warbirds and Classics. I was watching the videos on that. Tell you, I watch YouTube more than I watch anything else anymore. It's really turned into TV for me. All right, now the next stage is going to be getting the cowl on. I'm not going to hook up a kill switch or anything up to it yet now. I'm going to just work on getting the cowl set, and we'll worry about a kill switch later. And let's see here. We're going to have to do a lot of carbon filling. Yep, we sure do. You can see, bring you down here a little lower and you can see where the mufflers are hitting. Muffler pipes, I should say. And you drop the cowl. Boy, I'm having a heck of a time here. All right. You probably see on the bottom of the cowl here where that's hitting. So I know I need to extend this out. I might end up cutting this whole thing out actually. Under here, it's going to be a lot of air going through, but there's a lot of cuts under here anyway, and I got to extend this side, so I might just square this out. I obviously had this all set up for the plug wire and stuff anyway. It'll be fine. All right, let's get started on that. All right, guys, this is kind of what it's going to look like. I've got to cut those 1/4-20s way down. I found a package of them. But she's nice and centered, just like it was. I'm going to take my Dremel and clean up those edges under there. But looks like we're all pretty clear. Obviously, this line will go through the cowl. This line will go through the cowl to the fuel dot up top here. But we're just kind of checking her out for now. And we'll see what happens here. It's looking pretty good. So, we're making progress. We're making some progress now. All right. I like it. I like it. Okay, let's work on the next step. All right, so after 25 to 30 years, the motor is back on, the cowl is back on, she's glued back together. She's about ready for a test run. We can still get to the needles right through here if we have to. so that works out there. I put the original prop back on it that he had. It's a 28 Zinger Pro. So if that tells you anything about the era as well. The old plastic spinner, look at how the light has changed the colors. You can see how yellowed it is over the years. The old plastic has turned yellow in the light. Just shows you the age, man. It's all part of the game with these old planes. Like I say, for now I'm going to leave this really long. It isn't going to hurt anything. I'm going to put the bottom belly pan on here and put the wing on it, bottom wing on it, and we might take her out and see if she'll fire up. So the ongoing process of the Christen Eagle that was wrecked. All right, guys, we got her all put together. This is what she looks like. Not too shabby for being a busted up old airplane for 30 years. You can see the crack. You can see the crack right here. I'm going to probably put a little bit of clear grill over that just to make sure that's all sealed up. But overall, she looks pretty good. Obviously, the next thing I'm going to have to do is balance it. I don't like the way it says to balance. It says it's 1 inch. Half inch to an inch in front of the leading edge of the back here. So how am I supposed to balance it up here? I'm trying to probably ask the guys in the group what they think and what the best way to do it is. See if they've got a better balance point for it. But let's take her outside, get a few pictures, and get her fired up. Or attempt to, at least. All right, we're going to see how chunky she is. Let's get in here and need to get that reset. Let's see here. I'm trying to do this with the camera and one set of hands. So let's get her in here. There she reset. All right, let's see what kind of weight we got here. Set her on here. Hey, 19.4 pounds. That's dry weight. That ain't terrible. I don't know if that's in the recommended range. That's without balancing it so far. All right, guys, we're gonna see if she fired up. I primed it up a little bit. We'll see if she'll pop. I might have to prime it a few times, being a new carb kit. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that little spring starter's not cooperating much. All right, we're gonna try a starter on her. The motor's still kind of tight. It doesn't have any fuel into the system, so that's why the spring starter really isn't kicking her over yet. So we're gonna put a starter on her and see what happens. Listen to that. 30 years she's been sitting. She fired right up. servo screw on the throttle. So let's go ahead and do that. Forgot about that. So let's do that and try this again. Alright guys, I know this might seem pretty easy to remember, but I forgot that. So let's try that again. We are at idle. Oh, jeez, I can't believe I forgot that. This might not be that much fun putting it back in there. Alright, hold on, I gotta get a magnet. Gotta get a magnet. I dropped it in the fuselage. Let me get that foot in there and we'll start over again. Alright, we're ready to try this again. I'm gonna give her just a little bit of throttle on the trim here. See where we're at, just in case I put that in a different spot. Sounds pretty good. It's just a hair rich on the high end, but not too shabby. It's got a lot of potential. I do need to, that is not enough aileron throw at all, and definitely not enough elevator throw. I'm gonna work on both of those and try and get some more throw out of those, because we aren't even close. We aren't even close where we need to be on those. So we're going to work on that, put bigger horns, kind of do some finalizations on her, but the motor is alive. She sounds good. Say just a hair rich on the high end. I can adjust that, that won't be any problem. But after 30 years of sitting around, man, she's finally doing it. So I am thankful.